Shirley here with Sirius Talis Moon, and this is Jupiter Hour. Actually, it is already moon night. The moon is in Scorpio, 16 degrees, applied to conjoin Black Moon Lilith. Midheaven is with Pluto, and the ascendant is ruled by Venus at 17 degrees Taurus, Venus 7 degrees Virgo, Jupiter 21 degrees Cancer. So, I want to talk about money. um, let's begin. First of all, big shout out to the financial historian on YouTube. Uh, he's given amazing videos that really explain money and the history of money. Astrologically, this is excellent channel to watch and learning about history of money for people who have Saturn in the 8th house, Saturn in the 2nd house, Saturn in the 12th, Saturn ruled 12th, 8th, or 2nd. Um, or Saturn in aspect of the rulers of these houses. Now, if you want me to do another video about rulership, just write in the comments and I will explain that point. Saturn rules history, debt, bonds, money, that stands the test of time. And I've talked about a financial collapse and the role of targeted individuals to sustain people through currency wars, while having a lot of eurekas to my own role in that along the years without being aware. And in those times of economic collapse or at times where absolutely no one can rely on absolutely anything, this is a question of how do people let's say you have money or you have a job, um, how to invest your money in a way that um, can sustain you through an apocalypse. So when it comes to the safety of money, what people need to understand, the minute that the minute it's money war o'clock, banks are closed, hedge funds don't know your name, Swiss bank goes, what money? um, changes, and this actually changes actually started happening in Israel, where they don't really hold all the currencies, including at the change in the airport. Um, and yes, this is true. I mean, okay, so let's say you came to Israel from Denmark, and you want to change at the airport the Danish kronas to Israeli money, then it's not possible. I'm not joking. I tried. I had 100 Danish krona, and I guess it's going into an old money collection. So now I have old money. And so, um, by the way, regarding coins, there is a museum value to coins, but it's not. First of all, people have to study a long time to understand anything about those venues, and this is naturally. I'm speaking from the point of an astrologist. I'm not your financial advisor, but I'm thinking with you. Okay, so let's have that disclaimer. Um, First of all, yes, Saturn ruling money, Saturn ruling history, Saturn ruling time. People have to study the topic a long time, but do not be fooled. Just getting a degree or a qualified education is not going to do the job. Same as engineering. Okay, people study 4, 5 years, 7 years engineering, and then they start to work. Usually, hopefully, during studies, and they know it's nothing like what they study. Okay, I studied politics, and then if I would not be aware of astrology and occult astrology. Then a couple of years later, I go into the same department, and there is a Globe uh, um, advertisement of politics, and it says politics, not what you expected. Basically, that was a symbol of a Tema Mundi, talisman. I knew the language, but it was not something I would learn in academia. And this is something, yes, to keep in mind. Um, However, uh, what do people do when things collapse? So let's say you don't have, let's say even if you do have a proper money education, you haven't spent, let's say, I don't know how many years studying uh, the exact products that you can change the value, or buy a watch, and which brand of watch and which type of watch will be worth so and so and so and so years. Because let's say you could buy a Rolex, but that Rolex actually loses value. It sustains more of the value of, let's say, a car, but it is not compounding value, and it's not keeping all that much value. And then there are brands that skyrocket. So people would need to really put a heart and soul into studying those things. That being said, when it comes to what deceased astrologer and suicide prevention activist Tom Jacobs um, would mention about money is money is energy, is money is energy. And so when you think about currency, I think it's quite understandable. And even before Pluto ingress into Aquarius, I stopped doing readings, and I stopped charging money for my readings. And I began to think with the world, how are we going to have a resource economy? Because when the currency is unstable, when it's in between currencies, when people when it's money time, then people actually do not have money. And this is not the Second World War. The Second World War, people had money, people had assets, they could liquidate, if they're not liquidated, they could liquidate the assets and travel somewhere else. We're talking about the global community. And this also plays to the point of targeted individuals, because on a global community, there is an intelligence plan to have 1 in 3 people that are targeting individuals watching the other 2/3 of society. Okay, so I know some of you, um, some of these things would be published under names that go with certain religion. I, as a principle, do not address the name of, let's say, a person or religion, in as much as I address the structure and the idea. Because if, let's say, it's written in what people call the protocols of the elders of Zion, okay, whether these protocols exist, not exist, and so on, um, the things that people say after that are way more important, because anybody could wipe out the Jews, but still apply the plan. So one could even say that the protocols of the elders of Zion is not similar to Mein Kampf, and and perhaps that's the point. Um, and this is where, if we just think, okay, wipe out the Jews are bankers, wipe out the Jews. It's not wipe out the Jews. It's change the structure and tend to those ideas and their implementation. And this is why target individuals is not an esoteric, secluded topic, um, but actually upon the changing world. And it's definitely not, as I've heard some people say, If they got you, you're done, you're doomed. Um, that that's absolutely not true if you think about the fact that 1/3 of society is supposed to be targeting. Okay, so each person is supposed to be watching at least two people, and that is supposed to be done in groups, and they are supposed to be targeting those individuals. So they're supposed to be 24/7 shifts of watching 2/3 of society. Okay, it is beyond a terrible job, and I can say that I've seen targeted individuals. I dealt with being targeted myself. Um, these are people that, let's just say, a happy, thriving, joyous, prosperous, safe human being who's not undergoing perpetual crisis is not going to. Okay, is probably not going to opt to do that. Um, in fact, actually applying for lifelong compensation for MK Often and MK Ultra, which are the projects that are associated with targeted individuals, um, is actually way more lucrative, because not only you're doing something that will stand the test of time, but also you will actually get to enjoy the wealth and redistribute the wealth in the spirit of Pluto in Aquarius. Now, Pluto in Aquarius is, of course, transparency. Um, when it comes to okay, so when it comes to entire society being targeted individuals, that's not an if they got you, you're doomed, because that's basically saying, oh, well, entire humanity is doomed. Okay, I accept that. But as Abraham Lincoln said, you can fool some of the people some of the time. You cannot fool all the people all the time. And this is a time where they try to fool all the people all the time. So, that, of course, would bring up total nuclear holocaust, which means no bunker is going to sustain a happy, thriving, joyous human being, and that's just a reality. Now, as to resources, so one thing that is um, nice to have in a time of apocalypse is um, either a bottle of vetiver essential oil, or more usually easy to access, patchouli essential oil. When I studied aromatherapy, and again, get that from either a distillery or a company that's not a pyramid scheme. Okay. um, when I learned aromatherapy, yes, I made a certification and so on, um, but you don't have to have a certification to get these oils, and I'm going to explain a little bit about it. When I was learning aromatherapy, we learned about these two particular oils, and immediately the teacher said, purchase two of those. One you put aside for at least a year. These are oils that get better with time. Now, when it comes to money, we want our investment to yield something that refines and becomes better with time. A lot of people invest in wine or wineries. Um, that's okay. I mean, wine does get better with time. And I'm not an expert on that. So, but when it comes to these oils, um, another quality of them, other than the fact that they get better with time, um, which means that you don't have to worry about your investment losing its yield, because this is something that when the world goes bonkers, those essential oils are very grounding, very good for the nervous system, antifungal, very good for the skin, and all you have to do is open the bottle and smell. Okay, that's important. You can dilute, you can this, you can that, you can learn how to properly dilute. I think everything is on Google right now, but dilution only in oil, or in honey, or tahini can also be, yes, but not in water. And this is important. For example, Thieves vinegar is not done with essential oils, unless you want to add alcohol, and then but I don't know if you would add alcohol to the vinegar. I think not. Um, but Thieves vinegar is done with the herbs themselves. Um, Another thing that people naturally want to have. Now, the thing about a bottle of vetiver or a bottle of patchouli is that you can absolutely have that with you. You can have that with you as a wealth talisman. You can have that with you if, let's say, you're stressed out or you're traveling. Actually, when I was in between houses, one of the ladies that was with us at the shelter, she had a dog, and I met her in the bathroom, and she had a vetiver bottle. So she just allowed me to smell the vetiver bottle, and that was really, really grounding, really, really calming. And in the situation of being in between homes, that was profoundly helpful. So this is something just to accentuate that those are things that you can carry with you, okay, anywhere. Um, it's not considered a perfume if you don't dilute it, okay, and that is important. Um, and you can also have a couple of drops in like a sachet or something like that, with salt, and that can be assisting whenever whenever a person needs to cool the nervous system. Now let's talk about honey, because honey is real honey, okay, uh, is also something that bless me, doesn't run out, okay, and the quality of honey that it doesn't run out, it doesn't get spoiled, and this one goes for thousands of years. So having honey is amazing in time where um, there is food shortages. If you add now, vetiver and patchouli are made with solvents, so you wouldn't add them to honey. Okay, if you add any other essential oil into honey, it's supposed to be preserved. So, but you don't even have to add essential oils to honey. You can simply have honey itself, and it's again incredibly nourishing, very, very good when people don't have food or have food shortages, and it's something that stands the test of time. So this is where you have money and you want to transmute it to a resource that is actually useful. Honey can also um, be a product that if you have enough of, then you can share with people or you can trade, and that is another thing that I would think about as having kind of like the basis or the foundation. Now, if you, yes, now honey is something that normally one jar is something that people can take with them if they need to move from place to place. I don't think that people can import honey or take a jar with them on the plane. But I think in some places they buy it as memorabilia, and so they should be able to. Um, and another thing that you want to consider is any talismanic material that is of your choice. And talismans, yes, usually they come as rocks. Um, is something that you can wear on you as either a necklace, or you can put it okay, in your wallet or on your body. Um, that is something that creates an energy support that you can take with you. So for those that are creating talismans, it can be about creating talisman. And here is already more advanced, because people really need to learn about talismanic materia, um, and spend the time to get to know the astrology behind that. So those are the absolute basics, and we have something that gets better with time, something that stands the test of time, and something that uh, carries an energy that is a portal to reconnecting. And this is, it can have a spiritual meaning. It can even be a wealth talisman. It can be a protection talisman. And as my yes, magic teacher and astrologer Christopher Warnock talks about talismans, is that they are a portal in the sense that the devotional practice. Okay, so let's say a person has a talisman, I don't know, Venus. Okay, and Venus can be about self-love. It can be about pleasure. It can be about harmonious relationships, and it can be about wealth as well. And that talisman is serving as a portal where, let's say, every Friday with the sunrise, a person can reconnect with Venus, meditate with the talisman. If they're in a place where that is possible, light a candle to Venus, and that sustains a spiritual connection that allows a person to um, kind of keep themselves in spiritual shape during basically basically an apocalypse. Um, Now, if it is so much so that people don't know what day, what time, and so on, it is, when it comes to planetary talismans, very important to know one's natal chart, or to get a consultation with astrologers that do that. When it comes to fixed star talismans, then this is something that um, one can try to venerate without a talisman, and then as they get comfortable, either do a talisman themselves or purchase a talisman. I've had great experience with um, working with talismans like Deneb Al-Gadi, profound understandings with Beta Persei and other talismans. So yes, this is something that takes a little bit more time, but those are creating the energy basis and the material basis, spirit and matter basis, um, to sustain and adapt. Because the most important thing is going to be able to adapt, and for the world to be able to adapt to the self. And this brings me to the second part of this conversation. Systems are collapsing, absolutely, and in this change in time, which can definitely be seen with the astrology of the time, the bisextile Saturn Neptune conjoining on a world degree, there are many opportunities. Many people um, have many agendas, and um, and this is a time where it's acutely important to um, begin to think about the kind of world that a person would want to live in, and begin to act on that thought. Because right now, the opportunities are absolutely paramount. This is a time where issues that were once secluded become a common discourse. We had an article about ritual abuse in Sky News. Okay, it's usually very difficult to get all that much exposure to a topic that is used to be very taboo, very hidden. Again, Age of Air, Sky News knows if they don't talk about it, the internet is going to talk about it. If the internet is not going to talk about it, the telepathy network is going to talk about it. And what is telepathy network? People get targeted, and yes, and then at first it's like, oh, this is psychic attack, this is that, and then it's like, well, those are people doing that, and have conversations. And um, and those conversations to say, okay, let's say a person, I don't know, is telepathically threatened, okay, or shown something and so on. The person is not just complacent. The targeted individuals, they have an opinion. They have their own sovereignty. They stand in their own power, which even for those who target the individuals can give a little bit of a whoa, because those people are in touch with what are the values that are important. Okay, like, hey, people are just gonna be, hey, women just sleep with their husbands to sustain the peace. Women are just not gonna be too bothered, like by doing that for money. They're already doing that for money. And then you run into groups of women that would be absolutely ready to commit and press the button on an entire nuclear global holocaust, if and only if it's totally global, on that topic. Okay, now the people that are doing the targeting, or the people that are looking for those types of informations, they come from various places in the world. Places where you wouldn't conceive of that being important to someone. In another place, another targeted individual in Ekveld can have another thing that is so important to them that they would completely explode the world over. Now, those things are listened to because the world is exploding and somebody is exploding it. And it always goes by applying to the value of people, um, and basically um, basically this is where, okay, because if they try to do the entire world a complete tyrannical regime, then what will happen is that the 2/3 of the society that they didn't get to be targeting individuals will begin to blow up the parliament. Look at Nepal. Nepal had a demonstration. 72 people got killed. The next day, the parliament was on fire. They didn't touch the businesses. And it's also important to understand. They didn't touch the businesses. They didn't run havoc across the people. They just concentrated on the one thing and one thing only. Okay, that dumb fucker is corrupt. That dumb fucker is going down. Okay, then imagine 2/3 of the world going Davos. I can even say, 7th of October, entire Israel went, we should flatten Gaza. Now, this is Chinese territory. It's important for the Palestinians to understand that. Okay, whatever happened 7th of October was invasion to Chinese territory. And China just let the IDF do whatever it does. UN would call it a genocide, which it did. And um, and the land is owned by China anyway, so yeah. Okay. Uh, the first trauma reaction of me was, instead of flattening Gaza, we should have flattened Geneva. Now, I did not know too much about Geneva, but In fact, I don't even know why I said Geneva. And then a nice guy from Geneva, that lives in Geneva, um, yes, was was being nice to me on the internet. Um, and I'm like, okay, then perhaps there are nice people in Geneva. I had colleagues in the United States that thought it would be reasonable to maybe drop an A-bomb on Israel. And I am in Israel. I bought their talisman. And one of the things that I heard them saying was, we found the saint in sodomy. And I say the same about the United States. um, yeah. So those things are important to understand, that when they try to fool all the people all the time, then first of all, even on the most naive level, if people try to have a conglomerate of like a global society and wonder what are the common grounds, what are the common values, they would run into people that have varying opinions. And for example, when I was in between houses, sometimes I stole food from supermarkets. Yes, not a group crime or anything like that. The most I took was sushi from the Albert Heijn when I was manifesting an apartment. And that was when I was being really fancy. Because if I would ask people, they would say, get a job, and I can't tell them my whole life history. Or they would offer me a job as an informant, and like, I don't want to traffic children. So, so I stole food from Albert Heijn. And yes, and then when I had a place and there was environmental fridge, then I took food from environmental fridge when I needed, and I tried to grow some crops and donate to that place when I can. The problems that was with that place, I think everybody knows worldwide. And um, so juxtaposed to me, I had a Facebook friend that had PTSD, and she used to be trafficked. And she said that there are days where she is hungry and she doesn't have enough food, and she doesn't steal food because it's forbidden. I was so mad that I told her, that's why you were being trafficked. So you see how different people can have different values, but when something is non-negotiable for someone, so much so that they would explode the entire planet over that, and it can be completely dumbfounded to, let's say, American societies where people fund their degree by supposedly sex work. Most of them are trafficked, kidnapped, going missing, murdered. And the rituals that happen in the fraternities that were a giant topic of discussion got all the way to Israel TAs when I was a TA. Then my colleagues warned me about studying in the US because of those rituals. And for me, it was a problem because then I would have to address the students, and that was triggering for me. Um, and what would be offered to these students that went to those horrid rituals was tea. Just drink some tea and everything will be fine. And then at 9/11s. Fair trade. Um, so that's something that is important to remember. When it comes to wealth, another thing that's really, really important is sexual sovereignty and embodied tantric connection to oneself. This is why sexuality, being orgasmic, is a non-negotiable, because this is how people connect and also manifest wealth without it turning into ritual abuse. In fact, those people that need things that are not sexually sovereign are creating national and international debt in their kingdoms, regardless of the type of regime. The wealth of nations. Okay? Now, of course, the topic of ritual abuse of children is beyond important. But normally people say, what can I do about it? Well, the White March was definitely something that people did about that. Or they say, well, how can I attend to that, and so on and so forth. Or they say, this is so important, this is so this is so that, and they go about their day, working the same hours, for the same salary, buying in the same stores, planning their lives in the same way. And if they work at a restaurant and somebody is escaping somewhere, they say, you cannot wait here. These are the rules. So this is where people don't connect the dots and don't understand that there are actually many things that can be done, from actually paying attention, okay, if there are children around and so on and so forth. If people see something, okay, unusual, and address what they see as a community. But also learn about those things to do with putting people through trauma and susceptibility to mind control, because sometimes they see a person committing a crime. Okay, Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Who assassinated Charlie Kirk is actually a practical philosophical question, because it is a mind control. Underneath gloved hands, those that work underneath gloved hands doing those things get caught red-handed.